Everywhere scattered today, my people. A lot is happening in the political zone. President Tinubu has become a laughingstock. He has become a subject of insult and mockery with everything happening in the country. We even have people fighting the battles for us that are outside the country. Professor Lumumba once said Africa will be great until Nigeria detects itself. My people, come and see everywhere has burst. Joshua Maponga is no longer joking. He has poured out his mind as to who President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is, how he is helping the Europeans and hand in hand looting the funds of Nigeria. My people, share this video to every social media platform. If you cannot share, like it, give it a thumbs up so that YouTube will recommend it for us. We'll be back in a jiffy.
Welcome to Labour TV show.
The whole of crime scene
is happening in the street again.
The center of political news, celebrity gossip, religious gossip, and happiness in the society.
Join us, the voice of Africa.
Welcome to Lajipok TV show, where we bring you political gist, celebrity, and religious gossip. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please do well to click the red subscription button, and don't forget to click the bell icon so that YouTube will notify you anytime we drop another trending gist. Joshua Maponga actually made a shocking statement in this video. He actually said a lot of things that actually got most people shocking live today. My people, stay till the end of this video. You will see a lot of things that he said. Joshua Maponga made a shocking statement. He said government is a rehabilitation center, which shows that we have a lot of sick people that are ruling the country. In the case of Nigeria, if our politicians are not sick, how can those that call themselves political leaders such as governor, president, be it any political position, will leave a country in shambles and poison the mind of their people against each other? This tribal antagonism that is gradually penetrating into the people, into the citizens of Nigeria, was initially sparked up by our politicians to create a kind of separation between people of different tribes with same vision. Kidnapping has erupted and engulfed the whole nation. The price of dollars to naira keeps on going up, increasing every day. The people of the country are being killed. As far as Nigeria continue in this criminality, I will continue to say that any terrorism that befalls Nigeria today, our politicians are the ones that set way for it. They know about it. Aside religious fights, we have terrorists killing traditional rulers, and Tinubu is outside the country seeing all this without declaring a state of emergency. Not quite long ago that we heard that some people and their teachers inside the school bus were actually kidnapped on their way to school. Nothing about this country that is funny. Nothing about the country now in this present state that is funny. People are subjected to abject suffering and poverty. Citizens are being killed. Hardly can the people of this nation boast of total security. Listen to this video, see what Joshua Maponga said, and still claiming about Nigeria government. My people, it will shockalize you. Stay till the end of the video. We'll be back right after the video.
So the humanness of our presidents, some of them, I fully understand them, that they are not normal. They are actually traumatized psychologically, to an extent that some may even need medical attention. I'm not joking. We may end up with one or two of them in psychiatric wards because of them. Because if you should right now sit down with them and ask them to relate what happened to them, what were the wars like, you may discover that they've not gone through it. Some are on drinking, some are on drugs, some on heavy suppression tablets, high blood pressures, and etc., dealing with the trauma. And while they're dealing with their trauma, they're running a country. So you have patience in some certain places. Some of them are repenting, some of them are growing up, some of them are coming to your, some of them have dealt with it. So it's a rehabilitation. Government for me is a rehabilitation center for military juntas. Actually, it's a science which we can use for the unification of Africa. Because if all clans, 52 or 54 of them, can identify each other in Uganda, then we only need 54 clan leaders who set up the parliament, and the politicians can disappear. We've never known who they are, and the country can be back to the hands of those that own it. I think it's a solution on the royal unification using our clan name sciences. Then it stops all the war, because in each country there are other clans that are in other countries, and I think it creates quite a unifying factor where we're able to trace our ancestral common ground. Very important, very important. Again, what has built strong monarchs and strong civilizations and dynasties is clarity on history. So in as much as the unification of tribes and blurring the line of which tribe are you, but ultimately that identity at a personal level, at a family level, then at a national level, at a continental level. And many people would confuse diversity does not mean enmity. Diversity can simply mean variety. And I think life is best appreciated in the variety of culture. Imagine when you see the Zulus dance, you see the Maasai dancing, then you see the Bembas and the Karangas and the Tsongas, bringing all this beauty. And you can only preserve that at a cultural level, because then that's where norms and rituals are conducted. Where these ones say we don't dance like this. Like in the Uganda space, you have a name of a tribe, you have the function in the royal palace, then you also have the sound of their drum, and so you even preserve the sound of the drum. If you taka 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 taka, then you know what kind of a sound. And I think that's a military strategy to the highest order, that we could actually use that as a means of communication. Then when you hear taka 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 taka, it's this one. When you hear ta taka ta taka, it's this one. This is Morse code. And for you as young people, maybe this is where I miss you sometimes, because you're in a hurry to discard things because you don't understand them. So it's no longer just about a drum. It's a siren. It's information. The talking drum of the Nigerian, the guy who beats it would actually say a message to the king, who knows the sound of the drum and interpret it in words. So there are enemies at the gate, please start running. And it's all sending a sound, and that's it. So to me, these are sciences which might look very primitive, but if you look at them very well, these are high-end technological decodings of ancestral knowledge system, which we can manipulate in 1,000 ways. You have acclimatized your ears to other types of noises. It's not that you cannot hear them. If we can just switch off some few gadgets and we put on your right diet and we sit in a space of certain silences, actually these sounds will begin to come back to you, because your memory, your ancestral memory is generational. It stores things even if you don't use them, but the day you need them, you may find that they've been safely stored. So we eat food, we walk places, we smell forests, we hear music, we bath in rivers, so that we awaken our ancestral memory. And once it's woken up, it comes with its gifts, it comes with its potentials, it comes with its frustrations, unsolved businesses, it comes with its talents, it comes with its positioning in the culture. All of a sudden, the person, it also creates a good environment around you to attract you to the things that are in sync with you. That's maybe what we're trying to say when you talk about consciousness, that maybe this word is being used loosely on the Pan-African space, consciousness. And I don't think people understand consciousness. They've taken it as an intellectual exercise, that I'm woke. But how can you be woke in your brain, but you're not woke on your taste buds? You're not woke in your ears. You're not woke in your eyes. You're not woke in your nose. You're not woke in your skin. The forehead does not know you. You don't know it. So wokeness for me is actually living in the abundance of activated ancestral memory, which then connects you with the past and makes you a library for the future. As contrasted to Eurocentric religious experiences, which are time-based, which are church-based, which are venue-based. You must go to church on a Sunday morning and come here once a week or twice a week, depending what kind of church you're coming to. Then you practice the godly within those spaces. Apparently, you cannot speak anyhow in church. You can't do certain things because you're in a holy space. Fair and fine. You come to African space, we might not necessarily have a place. We have places, sacred places. In other words, there are places for the rain, there are places for disease, there are places for war, there are places, and we access these spaces to speak to us what we want to hear on a spiritual realm. So whether we're eating, it's a spiritual exercise. When drinking water, it's a spiritual exercise. When we shake each other's hands, the words we exchange, if you expand those words and hear what we are saying, it's a spiritual exercise. When we sleep, it's a spiritual exercise. Please go and talk to those that are in the shadows of the night. Bring us messages in the morning when you come back. In the morning when you wake up, what did they say in the world of the sleeping? That's Mangwana in Shona, for example. When we get married, it's a spiritual exercise. The unification of families, the cutting of animals that goes in there, the blending of the spiritual families. You're not marrying an individual, you're marrying a whole family, you're marrying a tribe. So this is so and so, this is the aunt, this is the uncle, this is what, and the spirituality right there. So it's when I say it's a daily expression, therefore you don't have the schizophrenic mindset that says, now I'm in church. And after church, now put off those clothes, take off that jacket. Now I'm in the world. So you end up having this schizophrenic mindset that tiptoes in two spaces. And to me, spirituality can't be that. You are the bodies, the temples of the omnipotent. You are the open letters that must be read by anybody that is passing on the side of the streets. The spirit lives in you. You are in him, he is in you. I don't know how much people read this Bible. I don't think they understand it at all. Because if we understood what that meant, therefore, I don't even dwell in houses that are built by men. I dwell in houses that are built for myself, and your bodies are the temples of the Holy Spirit. Now, you look at the depth of that. Who needs to go to another building? Who needs to go to another shrine when actually the biggest of all shrines and temples and centers of spirituality is the inside part of you that must be conscious to where it is coming from, where it is, and where it is going, particularly what it must be doing in the now to transform the future and correct the past. So we may think that it's politics. To me, it's spirituality, because politics plays on lost power in spirituality. When we lost our land, we lost our spirituality. We lost our connectivity to the piece of land. Therefore, we can't do politics of politics without politics of spirituality. Politics of spirituality restores land to its rightful owners so that they can practice their rituals and lifestyles and culture in their own space. So and you cannot talk about economic progress, academic progress, entertainment progress, if you are not talking about people being indigenous and being in control of their means of production. That speaks to their present feeding, that speaks to the excess going for the market. That's business. And without land, you have no home, you have no business, you have no road, you have no tree, you have no grass, you have no house, you have no mineral, you have no water, you have no mountain, you have no river in a flat in town. You have no vegetables. So all other forms of political commentary that are void of land conversation are not political conversations. They are a circus, a mascot of a European mischief. The only politics we need is the politics of land. Then they say you must have two wives. The first wife is land. The second wife is the one who gives you children. And if you don't have the first wife, you will abuse the second wife. And instead of fighting over second wives or girlfriends, we need to fight over the first wife, who is land. Men right now would kill each other for a wife, kill each other for a girlfriend. But who amongst us Africans right now are as passionate about land than they are about women? The Chinese are not just here to expand land issues. They are here to reorganize a population preservation of their own nation in other countries. They're overpopulated now, so they're pushing some of them here. Not only that, it's also a 30-year plan to take over certain parts of Africa. So the prisoners that are being sent here to come and work, they don't bring their wives. They come alone. So of the 400,000 Chinese that have come with the 3, 4, 5, 11 billion investment, that number could be much more. All of them are bachelors. Only few executives have brought their wives, but the rest are prisoners and bachelors who now are making children in Africa. And these children will be Chinese and African, but being African, these children are Chinese, who are going to be educated in our system, who will receive scholarships to go back to China and come back and become presidents and ministers in Africa, and by right they are citizens because we're born here. It's a strategy. In 30 years' time, you will call me back. I hope I'll still be able to talk, and you will recite this when you have the first vice president, the first minister, the first president in one of the African countries being a crossbreed between Chinese and African. Go to villages and you see those children running up and down. In Zimbabwe, we have them. In Uganda, you have them. In Kenya, you have them. It's insignificant now. Let's not talk much about it. There are women right now who are pregnant with Chinese kids. There are some who are breastfeeding Chinese kids. And it's going. It's going. We saw it in Ghana, the Rawlings, a colored guy. How did a colored man end up as a president of a country? There's nothing. We saw it in Botswana. How did Seretse Khama become the president when he's a colored? His mother is British and his father was Tswana, and the father was a president. 2 generations later, he became the president himself. So it's nothing funny. This is exactly what is happening. If Africa Union should change its name, it must be called A54. Why must it always be about Africa joining and Africa not uniting? We want to join G20. Why? What is it that G20 can do which you can do? What is it that World Bank is doing which you can do? What is it that BRICS is doing which you can do? So the real problem is that BRICS is taking away the most powerful African countries and giving them legitimacy in their organizations. By the time Africa wants to unite, it will have only the minority poor, whose voice will be inaudible to the muscle of BRICS, Euro dollar, and American dollar. But if Africa right now under OAU, or under AU, or under COMESA, or under SADC, or under Africa Union, I don't care. Stop having organizations that speak politics. We need an AU bank, Africa Union Bank. We need an AU stock exchange. We need an AU passport. We need an AU academic curriculum. We need an AU military organization that can quieten wars on the continent. We need an AU health system that can deal with pandemics. We need an AU entertainment center that does movies and our own sports. We need an AU that is sensitive to the spirituality of the African people. Unfortunately, the AU we have right now is just a body that is writing protocols, writing papers and poems and speeches for world organizations. But when you look into the agenda of AU, right now I don't hear them talking about Niger. I don't hear them talking about the war in Congo. The only time I heard them was in Zimbabwe 2 weeks ago when they were talking about monitoring sanctions. How do you want to monitor sanctions if you don't know how to monitor war? How do you want to come and talk to people how they should vote instead of how to silence guns? So, World Union, which is United Nations, beautiful model. They have the WHO that deals with health. They have the Security Council that deals with guns, and they call them peacekeepers. And you have the protocols, you have the immigrations, you have what the membership has value because it adds critical components to that unity. So, and I think Africa Union, we should stop apologizing for anything. We need 50,000 or 100,000 soldiers from each country in Africa to right now meet at a common place, cost-free, because each government must pay for its own soldiers. And we have an African army. And we march into Congo tomorrow morning and we silence the war. We march into Sudan, we silence the war. We march into Niger, we march into the Fulanis and the ISIS and the Boko Harames. There's no way you can say you are a continent that must function as a country and you don't understand and appreciate the importance of security. So we need again to have one army. I kept that one for last because then you can never talk peace unless you are ready to talk about wars. On that, you may have the minerals, but the manufacturing is not controlled by you. The manufacturing is controlled by the global West, who even will not allow you to activate uranium, because once it is active, it can be used as a bomb, but it can be used for electricity. So they can't trust you to come up with your own solutions, even on things that help you. You will not be allowed to do that. Why? Because the sovereignty of Africa is not African. We say we are sovereign, but the people who control the policies which either enhance our living or downgrades it, those principles are not African principles. Those are world principles. Those are protocols of the United Nations and NATO's, the Security Councils and stuff like that. So our sovereignty cannot even solve problems. South Africa, for example, was told to stop using coal for electricity and etc. And the whole country is in load shedding. But the Americans who said we must not use coal are buying the coal to fuel their own coal stations. Now you look at these double standards of what they might want to call green energies. They are the ones who write the policies for green energies, like America, but they're not a member of the Green Energy Treaty. Then who are you lying to and who are you cheating? So the liberation of Africa does not only come with political conversations, it's going to come with an economic revolution where we begin to understand money, sponsor ourselves, change some of our military budgets into innovation, manufacturing and producing. Then you are solving employment. Then immediately people have cash flows. You have a better tax base from where you can collect your taxes. With the taxes, then you can improve infrastructure. But government, in many times, they've jumped the stages. They're in a hurry to make people happy. So what do you do for them? You build them a road. That goes where? Do they have cars? Do they have, the road is for what? Which one is better? For you to have a road or for you to have a job that can afford you a car and open a business that you can then pay tax, and the money for tax, the government can build a better road for you. But the road finds you with a home, with a car, and with a better school around you. So the whole issue of infrastructure sometimes is just the pressure from the common people who say, we want services, we want services. So you end up having to build people houses. I don't want any government to build me a house. I want to get my own business. I want to do my own job. And I want to build a house to the spec that I want to build the house. So this photocopied 2-roomed houses for people, it's not dignity, it's disrespect. And again, when you don't fully understand how to create a sustainable community by activating means of production, the availability of water, the availability of employment, industries, the availability and flexibility of government policies to entrepreneurship and innovation, creation of new ideas. How easy is it for you as a young man to have a new idea right now and walk through the bureaucracy and have that thing on the shelves in the shops? You must still find, even if it is a herb that your grandfather has been using for 200 years, they would want to test it. They will put laws of how it must be done. And you spend 6 years, actually the process now is 5 years, 5 years to have one pattern of a drug on the shop. It will take you 5 years. So now you want people to employ themselves and empower themselves to have a new technology right now and get it patented into the shelves. It may never make it. There are people who have discovered cars that use water. Those patents are still sitting. They will not even be allowed because those that are running petrol cars cannot risk losing their business because a cheaper technology has come in. So what do? They buy the technology and put it on their shelf and many times wait for you to die, and then they activate those things. So you're dealing with an African young man like yourself who begins to understand the global conversation. And now when you begin to have a political conversation with your friends, it's no longer an issue of let's change, let's vote, let's what? Changing what? Voting what? Because the people you're putting in power are not aware of the system. They will get into these offices and do exactly the same. You're exchanging hyenas with foxes and wonder why sheep are always disappearing. It's an iPhone that you bought, young man, but you have just downloaded a Samsung software. And all the good files of Android, your phone is reading them as error. Error. It can't even function. The phone is brand new. You just put an Android system on an Apple hardware. They don't talk to each other. The African software, the African spirituality, or the African hardware, either way, that is not talking to the colonial software that has been put on the African hardware, or the African hardware which is being put on the African software. Doesn't matter to me. But there's no conversation between the one who is producing the raw material and the one who is selling the final product. there's no communication. This one wants to buy it for $80 a kg uranium, and he is selling it at $200. And this one is saying, now come back here, bring my $140, $120 that you didn't bring back. The one says, I don't want. And this one says, no, I'm no longer going to be selling to you, I'll be selling directly. This one says, no, you can't. Even when you sell it directly, they must still keep it the same price for me only. But for everybody else, sell it at 200. This is the French-Niger conflict that you have. Then you sit down and ask, for the past so many years, how many tons of uranium have been taken out of Niger? At 80 cents. So per every kg that left this country, how many dollars has Niger lost? It goes into billions. Is France by any chance willing to admit that it has been stealing? No. Are they willing to let go so that Niger can start afresh? No. Are they willing to bring the infrastructure to Niger so that Niger can benefit from uranium as a final product in terms of electricity? No. What do you want Africa to do, France? We want Africa to prosper. How do you want them to prosper? By making sure that we keep their resources and their banks in France here, and we only give them money which is their own tax money as loans and at a good interest for us. So what has the interest of Niger? Nigers have no interests. What are the interests? The only interests that matter are the interest of America and the interest of France. Now you're talking about African development with that picture, that Barclays Bank, Standard Bank, FNB Bank, Total, BP, Shell, all the high volumes of transactions that are happening in the country, they're happening on a side economy that is colonial, and the local government does not have access to that. They can only wait for tax, and taxes are on less than 20 to 30% of the total. And once the money in the bank is in the bank, Barclays South Africa, Barclays Harare, Barclays Uganda, Barclays Britain, monies are being transacted legally on paper. Barclays South Africa is allowed to pay Barclays Britain. It's allowed. There's policies in government which tell you how that must be done. When were these policies written?
My people, you could hear what he said. He said some of these our politicians, they are not well. They are actually very traumatized. Most of them are not actually fit to be the leader of a country. They are not even supposed to be in politics. They are not even supposed to be politicians. They are not even supposed to be part of those people that people will be electing as a leader of a country or even a state. You could see the present situation of the country. Nobody is actually laughing about what is actually going on in the country. Aside anything that has to do with politics, I can see Nigerians are doing very well. Nigerians, the citizens of the country, are actually doing well for themselves. But our political leaders, anything that has to do with politics in Nigeria, everything is upside down. Our politicians are the ones setting ways for everything that is bad that's actually happening to this country. All the bombing, the kidnapping, the abduction, even the ransom that they are collecting from the citizens. These politicians are the ones. Even the tribal war that actually wanted to spark up with between the citizens of the country during the election period. This thing was actually instigated by our politicians. But you people will not see that with our politicians that are actually doing all this thing. You will not actually see the people behind it. But I solely believe that our politicians are the one behind it. And if you could see the military personnel that are supposed to even be the one to be protecting the lives and property of the citizens, they have actually joined hands with the politicians. They are all corrupt. All this their criminality will be exposed. This man, you actually heard what he said in this video. We are still under modernized slavery. For what reason will I say that? Every reasons for everything that is actually happening in the country. You see that Nigeria still take their oil out of the country for it to be refined and bring it back into the country, and for it to be brought back to the country, they will have to buy the same oil that they actually took out of the country for it to be refined, and the country and the citizens of the country will now be buying those things at higher price. We have electricity on our own, but we still don't have stable electricity, and everything is upside down in the country with all these things that are actually happening. My people, share your opinion at the comment section. Tell us what you feel about what this man said in this video, and don't forget to share this video to every social media platform. If you cannot share, like it, give it a thumbs up so that YouTube will recommend it for us. And if you are coming across this channel for the very first time, do where to click the red subscription button, and don't forget to click the bell icon so that YouTube will notify you anytime we drop another trendy video. See you in our next video. Bye for now.